All right, welcome to the Couch Live here on rock100diz.com, the home station of the Couch Live. And of course, we are a part of the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network and WWNN 1470 out of Pompano Beach. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And of course, thanks for this YouTube segment. Thanks to our sponsors, dlmsuccess.usana.com. That's dlmsuccess.usana.com. And I think I just broke the headsets. No, I didn't. All right. Don't worry about it, Chris. You know, just building. Anyway, so we're here with you, and we're talking about how you are not alone. This is the Couch Live. I am the Street Certified Dope Doctor, Lui Delgado, Certified Addictions Professional, here with co-host Denise McLean Solis. She's a certified life coach, so she's got some understanding on this, right?
Yep.
Hypnotherapist, right?
Yes.
Starbeamcoaching.com.
Starbeamcoaching.com.
If you don't believe me, go there and check it out yourself. She will hypnotize you. Not on
the website.
Yeah,
no, you can't do it online. You got to do it one-on-one.
She can help you.
Yeah.
And of course, we are speaking about in recovery how we feel very alone when we first get involved. We feel very isolated and stuff. And so I wanted to ask you, because you brought up on the last segment about what you went through. And so I want to ask you, you had to feel very alone because who do you talk to when your son is as famous as your son was? You want to be open and honest about some things that are going on, but yet you're probably being told you can't say that. You'll ruin his career.
Well, not only that, but you want to keep it private in the family, too. It's not something that you want to put out there in the public. Unfortunately, you know, your life's under a microscope when you're in the public eye. And no matter what you do, good or bad, it gets out there, mostly the bad. Yeah. And because they look for it, you know, all the tabloids.
We love
and
it.
Yeah, right? They just feed on it.
Yes.
So, you know, all the bad stuff gets out there. But I was very, very closed-mouthed about everything. Again, I went into protection mode, and I just simply closed up. And basically, the first time that I started learning and realizing how to deal with his addiction and how to cope with it myself was when he went into rehab, and I went out for a week. And we sat there and we did a lot of group things together and separately, and there was a lot of education in that week of learning how to deal with an addict, you know, when you love them and you want to protect them and you want to make excuses for them.
Exactly.
And one of the best things I learned was when they're in their addiction, the first thing you have to do is take care of yourself, because you can't take care of them if you're not taking care of yourself.
That's right.
And that's a very important step that I had to learn. And then from that point, you know, how do I deal with him and addicts in general? You know, how do I deal with them? What do we lay down rules? What do we do? And the knowledge came little by little from me doing my research as well as going out there and dealing with him.
But were you able to share with anybody? Were you able to open up to anybody?
It was hard. I did actually do one interview because the boys went live on MTV, and because they had to stop the tour. So they had to do something, and they didn't want to lie to their fans. So they went on MTV, and they did an interview, and they said that, you know, he was in rehab, and he was getting the help he needed, and that was what they did. And then I did one telephone interview with them later on, and you know, after I had been out to see him, to tell them how he was doing. But I kept everything very private. I mean, I got phone calls, and you know, people come into the house and calling everywhere at the home, calling my relatives, calling everybody, trying to get, you know, some sort of a byline, some sort of an exclusive on this, you know. And we kept it secret where he was as well, because he needed his time. So it was hard. It was hard for me. And at that time, I also was not married. I was still single. So I was, you know, again, I didn't have a significant other to, you know, to put my head on their shoulder or to cry on or those nights. And it was strictly, I leaned on my family. My brother was very supportive. My close friends were very supportive. But it was difficult. I think it's difficult for anyone, but it's difficult when you're in the public eye, more difficult. Because you're under that microscope, and no matter what you say, did I say the right thing? Did I
you
do
must
the right
have felt
thing?
very alone then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There was points, not only alone but very scared.
Yeah. Because
my biggest fear was if I wasn't with him 24/7, that when I had to come home, and I did have to come home at some point because he was on tour.
Yeah.
That until he went into rehab was when I was able to take my first really breath of relief. and not be scared, because the whole rest of that time I was waiting for that phone call that he was dead.
And I think a lot of parents and family members and loved ones can relate to that, because that's exactly what I hear over and over is, like, if they're in jail or if they're in treatment, at least they're somewhere.
Right.
And I know that they're safe.
Exactly.
But that isolation, I get that. I get the parents come in and they bring their child and and they say, please fix them. And it's like, what are you doing for yourself?
Right.
And it's like, well, nothing. It's not about me. It's about them. Let's work on them, and then we'll worry about me.
Yeah.
Is that the way you felt?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And that is like, well, you're kind of dealing with it alone too, then, and let's get you some support.
Right.
And there are support groups. And again, this is not just for the addicts. The addicts, of course, they feel alone. They feel very guilty and so much ashamed. But so do the family members. They feel guilty and they feel ashamed because they take a lot of the responsibility. When you go and you're thinking, they're looking at you and going, what did you do to mess up your son?
Right, that's right. That's the first thing you think.
Yeah, right?
First thing you think of is, what mistake did I make? How did I cause this to happen?
Exactly.
This has to be my fault in some way. And then you have to come to the realization that, the addict makes the choice. You didn't make the choice. You didn't cause them to be there. Mm-hmm. And there are some family situations where there are parents that contribute through abuse or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's a whole different scenario, but in my case, that wasn't the deal.
Exactly, because not all addicts had some sort of traumatic or abusive situation.
Right, right. And no, my son had a wonderful childhood. Yeah, he had father issues because of divorce, but what kid doesn't? But there were other things that contributed.
Kids with no divorced parents. I had to say that. You said what kid doesn't? Kids that aren't from divorced parents. Sorry, bad counselor. You could go. Yeah. There you go.
Really?
But yeah, I know what you meant.
Yeah. So it's it's hard to deal with stuff like that on your own. You do need the support groups. You do need someone to talk to. And in my particular case, it was not only dealing with my family and the shame that I dealt with for my son, but also in the public eye, the shame.
Exactly.
And I do have to say, though, the fans were some of the most supportive people.
And continue to be.
Yeah, and they continue to be. And they were so understanding and so, even in the neighborhood where I live, I got this sign. It was like, I still have it. It's like 4 feet by 4 feet,
cool.
Big poster that hundreds of kids and parents and everybody in the neighborhood, from the school, everybody signed. Wow. And in support of his going into rehab and getting the help he needed. And it was amazing, the outpour of support from everybody, and that to this day I'm just so grateful for, and so is he.
Yeah. And you know what, and there's a lot of you out there, and you're probably saying, yeah, but I don't have fans, and
right,
and nobody knows my situation. But
right,
I'll tell you this, there are rooms, like I just mentioned in the last segment. intherooms.com is a great place you can go and find a support network that's not even in your neighborhood. You can talk to people from everywhere. I think I replied back to an individual from Ireland just before coming in today. They're in Ireland, and they had something to say, and so I responded to that. So that's the beautiful thing about the physical in the rooms. You go to a 12-step program, or even online. The rooms online. You are not alone. There's a lot of pain attached to this, and if you share it, I think you'll be, if you're willing to share it and be willing to hear other people's way of relating to you, I think you'll be amazed at how they can relate to you and understand. I know some of you are saying, yeah, but you know what, I really don't care. I don't mean to be rude, Louis, but I really don't care about other people's issues right now. I got my own. And it's like, I hear you and I understand that, but just give yourself this. Give yourself a break. Get out of your own self a little bit. Listen to other people, because it does work. Get out of your own way. Sit back. Hear other people relate to how they can relate to you. Understand what you're going through. Them explain the exact same feelings that you're having difficulty explaining or processing. There's a lot of people who do have your experience, but they also have the strength and the hope that maybe you're lacking. Maybe you're lacking that hope that things are going to get better.
Just before we leave the segment, I just want to do this
Excellent.
on YouTube.
Go for it.
And this is not about the topic. I just have to throw this out there.
Do it.
My daughter getting married today in the courthouse. Lisette and Jeff, just want to say, best to you.
Awesome.
Many years to your future of happiness, and I wish you all the best.
Happy
Love
marriage.
you both.
That is awesome. Lisette and Jeff?
Lisette and Jeff,
All right,
yes.
Lisette and Jeff. All right, we have to go now. This has been our YouTube segment here on the Couch Live. Thanks to Rock100DIZ.com, of course, the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. WWNN 1470 out of Pompano Beach. And of course, you. Go to thedopedoctor.com, go to starbeamcoaching.com, and see him right here. Look, Capn Chris Hill. Put your head. Look, put your head. You see him? You see him? That's Capn Chris Hill. All right, everybody. We'll be back right after this on the Couch Live. Bye.